the Overhyped Book Club's second ever meeting. This month, we are doing Sorcery of Thorns, and I guess I'm going to get into introductions. I'm Majelle from Majelle Bell.
I'm Kendra from Kendra Cuss.
I'm Katie from Katie's Book Nook.
And I'm Ilja from My Bookish Babbles.
Cool. So for this month, we had a little fun with this book because it was something that is Katie's all-time favorite book right now, who she absolutely adores, and it was not my favorite book, as we kind of learned in our last one. So it's gonna be really fun talking about it on this live show, just because it's
we're gonna fight.
Yeah.
It's about to throw it down right now.
Yeah,
throw hands.
Yes. So I guess first we're gonna do our spoiler-free review. Does anyone want to go first that liked it?
Yes, take it away, Katie. Or Ilja.
Oh no. Are we divided like top and bottom?
Yeah, 50-50.
Okay, so I'm gonna go off my Goodreads review because I feel like it's easier to see what I said. I'm like, I don't remember what I thought. Okay, so I obviously liked it a lot. It's like my new favorite book. I would have to say that I really like. Oh wait, should we like say what it's about? Should we like give a?
Yes, Katie, and you're good at that.
Okay, I can give a summary. I feel like I talked about it in like 10 million videos. So
got it memorized.
Yeah, Elizabeth Scrivener is basically a foundling that's raised in one of the great libraries of Ostermere. So she's grown up around grimoires, which are basically spell books that are sentient. And if transformed, they become like monsters. And she wants to become a warden, which protects the kingdom from the spell books. However, an act of sabotage releases the library's most dangerous grimoire, and Elizabeth is framed for the crime, and thus she must turn to Nathaniel Thorn, who is her sworn enemy, aka a sorcerer. And then as her alliance with Nathaniel grows stronger, she starts to question everything she's been taught. So that's the gist of it. And then my review is I really liked the setting of the magical library. I just love how the books were kind of like giving feelings and the life of their own. I thought that was one of like the coolest things that the author did. I also love the characters. Like I related to Elizabeth a lot because she's an agent of chaos, and I find myself to be pretty chaotic.
Nice.
And a menace and a terror, as she's called throughout the book by Nathaniel. But she's just really like fierce and bold and not afraid to do what's right. And then I love Nathaniel because he's like so sarcastic. And my like favorite thing is like the banter between them when he's really sarcastic, and like Elizabeth just like doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Great. And then we have Silas, who's just like this demon, and he is the best. And they're dynamic in relationships, which is really cool. So yeah, I just thought that the writing was really good, and I was very captivated by the entire thing. Also, question for you guys: did you read Enchantment of Ravens?
No, I never read it.
Yeah, I did.
Have you?
I have.
Yeah, and you loved it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I definitely think that this one was like an improvement over an Enchantment of Ravens, but it's also like two different types of stories.
Yeah, I agree.
In interviews, she said she wrote Enchantment of Ravens to be like a fairy tale story, and she wrote this one to be like an epic fantasy.
Oh, okay. And
but
it definitely
also,
read. No,
yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry. What I also think is like an Enchantment of Ravens is more heavily focused on the romance, and aside from that, it's fantasy, and this is more fantasy, and aside from that, it's also romance. I feel like.
I agree.
Oh, okay.
I definitely think she set out to do different things with each story.
Yeah, definitely.
And you could definitely tell it reads like an epic fantasy. Like if you read my Goodreads review from the very first time that I read it, I literally write on it that like this follows the exact same plot of like every single epic fantasy I've ever read, from like A to B to C to like the climax at the end, and like the like story. So, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's obviously been done well.
I feel like you would probably like Enchantment of Ravens more.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like more. It's just like really cute and like fluffy.
Yeah,
I have a feeling you would like it over Sorcery.
And it has fae,
Yeah, it's even like
Okay.
yeah, yeah, true. That is my favorite thing. But even in my like review that I wrote for it on my Goodreads when I read it the first time, is that I wrote for Sorcery of Thorns that like this is a perfect like rainy day book because it feels so like magical and enchanted and like it's a lighter book. It's definitely like I'm not crying every 5 minutes in it or anything like that.
Well, during the end.
Okay, maybe we should get out of spoiler free then.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what to say right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
fair.
fair.
Okay, do we want to do our ratings now or do we want to do that near the end?
They can just do them now, so I feel because it will start our discussion.
I think
like-
Katie's rating is pretty clear.
I don't know what it could be. I'm really perplexed.
So it's a 5 then, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. I
Yeah.
also rated it 5 stars.
Oh,
It's
that's
also
good.
one of my new favorites. I loved it very much.
Oh no. Kendra, you go next.
3 stars. That's what I rated it, which isn't a bad thing in my book. So like 3 stars
Yeah.
isn't like a bad book. So
No, I did literally the exact same. And like that's the thing. It wasn't like a bad book. It just wasn't like this amazing thing that I had like adored, which I wish I did. You guys love it. I wish I loved it.
I really, really wanted to love it. I
Yeah,
thought
me
I would.
too.
Like I was like, I'm gonna love this. I know I am.
But why did you guys rate it 3? Like what were the things you didn't love as much about it?
I think that a lot of it had to do with the like book kind of plot. I don't know, just the plot I wasn't like invested in. And then
Yeah.
Katie's like, but the characters, I think the only character I actually cared about was Silas.
Well,
But the thing
Silas
is,
is the best.
yeah.
oh yeah,
He
he was
is.
like super well
He's
written.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
as I was listening to it the second time, I was like, what if Silas was like the love interest? Like I think I would like it better. God.
You guys didn't like
cool.
Nathaniel?
I like Nathaniel, but he's just every like, he's every love interest that I've read before. I think it would be interesting.
Yeah, he was
to,
like very like tortured and hidden emotional
Yeah.
pain, but like
Yeah.
he was so
Tragic
sarcastic
backstory.
that I just like I'm a sucker for it. So
Yeah.
Well, I tweeted about this too. Like, I feel like he could be in Herondale. I would not be surprised if his last name
he
would
was
have been
very
Herondale.
similar to Will Herondale for sure.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I see that.
Even down to the
but
whole like
I-
demon.
exactly. But I have a weakness for Herondale. So
Oh, I
like,
love Will Herondale so much.
exactly.
Okay.
I really liked Nathaniel. I just felt like we got way more of Silas's story than Nathaniel's story. So I think that's maybe why I like cared more about Silas, is just because I feel like we learned his story like earlier on than we learned. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I genuinely can't remember, but like in my brain, I feel like we learned a little bit more in depth of Silas's story before Nathaniel. So then I was just like always trying to figure out more of Silas's story.
Yeah.
And I was like latched onto it at that point. You know what I mean? Like I was like, what's more of his history with the Thorn family? And like I wanted a whole book on that. I thought that would have been so cool.
Yeah.
What did you
I'm
guys think of
actually
the
kind of
sorry.
sorry.
No, what did you guys think of the ending? Like the last few sentences.
I was just gonna say, I wish it wouldn't have been a standalone. Also, I'm glad that it is, but on the other hand, I also wish there was more.
Yeah, it's kind of like wrapped up with a little bow, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because he could leave it open ended for like
Wait, it's
if
a
he wanted
standalone?
to make a sequel
Yeah.
or do like a sequel.
I thought it was gonna have a sequel. What?
No,
I
it's
thought it
a
was standalone. I'm
standalone.
actually mind blown.
That's why it doesn't seem like
No.
there's any like threads to really continue on besides like
Yeah.
Silas coming back. But like that's it.
What? Okay, well then they need a Silas standalone after that.
Yes.
What the heck?
Yes.
I would love that.
Wow,
Definitely.
I'm so like I've got to leave now, guys. This is too much
Yeah.
for me.
Do you think knowing that it's a standalone changes anything in your opinion or no?
it does make it like quite a bit more interesting, actually. Like now that I'm thinking about it, is that I was like waiting for like, oh well, what's gonna happen next? And now I'm kind of like, oh, I don't feel
There
like it
is
was
no
wrapped
next.
up though.
I felt like it was like I mean, besides like leaving the ending open with Silas, they were kind of like, like they
Save the
defeated the
day.
evil force, and now they're just gonna chill.
Yeah.
I could see them I could see her for sure writing a book on Silas, even if it has nothing to do with his future and his past. Because like even though she left it open-ended kind of at the end, like open to your interpretation, like obviously he came back, right? Whatever. But like because they're like into that, I could totally see her writing like a prequel book or whatever of Silas, and we'll just like eat it up because of how she ended the previous book. You know what I mean?
I don't know though, like if she would be the type of author to go back and write a book in the same world, because right now she's only done standalones.
Okay.
Yeah, Enchantment of Ravens was also a standalone, so she's kind of like right now I guess it's like her thing is she's writing in fantasy, but she's writing only one book.
That's cool.
Oh,
I
that's
do think
interesting.
she's a very good standalone fantasy writer.
Standalone fantasy is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's really why when I was reading it, I was just like assuming it was part of a series, because every fantasy I've read is part of a series. Like what other standalones out there that I can even think of?
Enchantment of Ravens,
Yeah.
which is a multiplier, or like Priori, which is 800 pages.
Oh my god, that's a
Yes.
trilogy in itself.
It's like it could literally be 3 books.
Yeah.
But it's just wrapped up in one.
You guys want to talk about the world? Sorry.
Yeah.
As far as the world goes, I feel like it was one of my favorite parts of the book, is that the world was really well done. It was so interesting and different too from what I've read in anything else before.
Yeah, I love the magical books, like the grimoires. I love that part of it. It just felt so magical. A friend of me who was reading it along with me said that she imagined the world as some sort of anime world because it was so quirky and so weird in a way. I didn't imagine it like that, but I thought that was so interesting because I could understand what she was saying, like all the whispering grimoires and all their weird quirks and all that stuff, and then the demons as well.
Yeah,
I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Well, the book, like I've read an interview with her and stuff that she was like kind of inspired by the Hogwarts library, or just like Hogwarts in general, and like she kind of took that idea and just like went for it with like these magical books, and then now they're sentient and like have feelings, and I thought it was also what happened?
Oh no! Oh, she's back.
Okay. We got shuffled around now.
Freeze.
You know what happened? It just like stopped working.
Okay, well, fingers crossed it doesn't happen again.
So wait, what was I saying? Just completely blanked on the world.
You were talking about that she was inspired by the Hogwarts library?
Oh yeah, so she's inspired by the Hogwarts library, and also the way that sorcerers only have their magic if they like bind demons to them. So they have to like give up something of their life for
It's okay, I'll click that. Keep adding her in.
So
am I in now? Yeah, I think it's working.
Yeah.
With magic, there was like a pretty heavy price to be a sorcerer. And that's also something that I found she does well, kind of like consequences to magic, or magic with very set rules. It's not like this limitless power, like you have to give away like some of your life to like have a demonic servant and be a sorcerer. And also in Enchantment of Ravens, it was like that too. Like the Fae operated by like very strict rules, and it made for like a really interesting world. So I like that, like the rules of her magic, and it's very well laid.
Yeah.
And what's also interesting is
No, you go.
What I also found very, very interesting about that is that what you said, like the magic is not limitless. There's a certain point where I know they cannot use their magic as they expect it to go. it's like they have to think of other means to, I don't know,
Yeah,
fight or survive or whatever.
but part of me didn't
because
like
there's
it
a
for
limit.
that.
Really?
No?
I think it was that like the like epic battles that were happening, like when they were like on the carriage, like Nathaniel was like, give me a second. It like takes a bit for like my power to come and I've got to like summon it. And I'm like, oh, but like, you know, Harry Potter, all they had to do was say a word and that was it. I was being so picky the second time around, but I was reading or listening to it on the audiobook that I found I was like really thinking more about like, oh, what could I say wrong? So that was like the littlest thing. Like I think the fact that you have to be tied to a demon was super cool. And like that entire like part of it was really cool. But the way that there was like such a limitation to the power, I was like, oh, it could be a bit more like badass if it like went ham with everything.
Well, I found that part like super interesting because in most books and in most stories you see that magic comes so easily almost, and here like they actually had to say
work for it.
an enchantment and like also near the end it was like, give me a minute. I really love that part that like you see, okay, it doesn't come easily. They really have to work for the magic, you know.
Yeah, which is cool too. Like I see its merits.
Yeah. You also listen to the audiobook, right?
Yeah, so whenever I first got it, I got it as an ARC, so it was just an ebook format, and then I just downloaded, is it Scrib, because of Katie the other day, and I listened to it on that, which by the way,
I forgot to use my link.
I didn't know they had, like, that was a thing. If I get my friends or anything to sign up, I'll give them your link.
It's okay, you can give them your link, because everyone has a link.
Okay. What happens when you give a link?
You get a month free, I think.
Oh, cool. What?
Yeah, and anyone that has Scribd has a link, so I always put mine in the description in case people want to use it.
Yeah.
Because why not?
I'll delete my account and make a new one.
You don't have to do that. It's okay.
Okay.
But if anyone else wants Scribd,
yeah. All 70 of you watching, I see you.
Sorcery of Thorns is on there. Although I'm probably already read it.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, what did you think of the audiobook? Because I also listened to the audiobook and I read along like on the page.
I liked the audiobook. Did you like it?
I thought the narrator was good.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I like the voices that you did. Like I've probably only been listening to audiobooks for like about a year now. So it definitely when I was first getting in, there were some that I was like, okay, like this narrator, like I cannot listen to them.
Oh, I'm so picky.
Yeah. But I thought that the narrator did a good job and I liked her voice. I felt suited Elizabeth very well.
Yeah.
I love the narrator for like in general, but I love her voice for Elizabeth and for Silas especially.
Oh my god, the whispering. I was
exactly. But for Nathaniel, it was like
it's hard. I feel like it's really hard for a woman narrator to do like men's voices, especially like men that you're like, ooh, he's hot, and then like a woman does her voice. It's like
I would have
the same effect
with a British voice, you know. So
yeah. But there's nothing worse than someone doing a fake British accent over like
I know
over audiobook. I've listened to some real cringy ones.
And it's like,
oh really? Oh yikes.
But yeah, in general, I liked it on audio, and I've like been going back and forth between like what speed I put audiobooks on, but I decided to like actually listen to this one on 1.5 speed and just like take my time to take it in. Because sometimes I feel like if I go too fast with audiobooks, I just miss everything.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that better. It definitely took longer to read, but like I don't mind that because I just listen when I'm like on the train and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you guys want to talk about characters? I know we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but I feel like this book is really about its characters.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
As far as the villain go, like Ashcroft, I felt like at the beginning he was like interesting and complex, but when he became the villain at the end, it felt a little like everything else that I've seen before, you know?
It just felt kind of flat. Like, I just didn't care too much about what he was doing because I didn't know enough anymore about him. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
like
I can see that.
More like I would rather just have like Elizabeth and Nathaniel doing their thing, and like maybe he wasn't even a part of it, and I would maybe like the book better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like almost like the villain is revealed very early on that like he's the
Yeah.
villain, and then like from that like initial, oh, like he's trying to, you know, do evil stuff and sabotage libraries, we didn't get any more of like why.
Yeah.
Like we got
Yeah.
like a little bit like, oh, this is what his ancestors started and he thinks it'll make the world a better place. But like beyond that, I agree that there was not much more depth.
Yeah,
and
it was
also it's like the most part of the story. I was like, okay, he's the bad guy. We know that, and like, yeah, I cannot say much more without a lot of spoilers. But
Oh no, you can go spoil.
oh,
This
we're
is spoiler
spoiler
free now.
now?
You're
Okay.
gold.
All the
Oh,
spoilers.
okay.
Yeah, we're in the
Yeah.
spoiler section.
Okay, good. So like we knew pretty early on that he was a saboteur, but I like you said, like I didn't know why he was doing this stuff, and that made me very confused. I was like, okay, he's bad, we know that, but why? And like what is his goal? Why does he want to destroy those
Yeah,
things?
like
and
he
what
said, oh, like for progress. Like, okay,
Yeah.
what are you going to accomplish? I agree.
By
That's
becoming
definitely like
this
an aspect
woman.
of the story that like could have been more fleshed out.
Yeah.
Well, then at the
Yeah.
end, he was like, "This is my birthright," and I was like, "But like, we don't really know that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so it doesn't really matter."
Nathaniel's
Yeah.
birthright is necromancy, but he's like not
chill.
interested, you know? So like
Yeah.
it's not like sorcerers are so like set on this like birthright idea. If you know Nathaniel's like, nah. Whereas
Yeah.
it's like, I have to complete my ancestors' work, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this a little bit before, but like truly, I think Silas is such an incredibly written character. Like,
Mhm.
and I loved his like relationship with Nathaniel, because like, and I loved hearing about the descriptions of like what his face looked like, or like the like his body language, and like analyzing that in that moment as to what's actually going on in his head versus what he's showing. And
Yeah.
I love that he turned into a cat. That meant a lot to me.
Yes!
And I was like, that's the best.
When he like showed up at the library and the guy's like, "Oh, is that your cat?" And she's like, "Yes, it
Yeah.
is." Like,
Sir Fluffington.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the way he was written was really cool because it was like he's trying to be like, no, like I'm a demon. I don't care. Everything I do is for my own self gain. But like you know that he really does love
Oh my-
Nathaniel, like despite his nature. And it's like
Complex
Oh my gosh, when he got
characters.
scary, I got like giddy.
Yeah,
When he was like
right.
getting all scary, I was like, oh my gosh.
You're really
I was
doing
like so
this.
down for it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh my god, yes. But I like, to be honest, I actually cried when he like at the sad parts for Silas, for like when he was dead, like when he was sent back. But I also immediately thought like, okay, but why don't we just bring him back?
And
Yeah,
then they were
yeah.
like,
He's not dead.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were like, all right, we're gonna bring it back now.
yeah. Like,
but,
literally, like,
but then it
next
was
chapter.
sad again because
Mhm.
of like all the stuff that happened in the end,
And
like,
the fact
he had
that
to
he
sacrifice himself.
he sacrificed himself, and the fact that he like was answering to the name of Silas now instead
Yes.
of his like full name means that he like overcame his demonic nature and changed
Yeah.
my
It
heart.
was really his book. Like, everything to do with the book really was like his like story arc, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also felt like we almost got more time between Silas and Elizabeth than between Elizabeth and Nathaniel.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
See, that's why I say he could be the love interest.
Yeah, the romance was definitely like lightly dusted over the story.
Well,
It
that's what
definitely
I
was, which was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
And like I saw so many people talk about how it's like a slow burn, and I was like, I don't know if it's a slow burn because nothing really happens to like the end. And like that's fine. Really, like romance doesn't always need to take like the front seat of a novel for it to be good. Like obviously, it doesn't even need to be in a novel, but like I was just like, for some reason I had this this idea in my mind that it was going to be a slow burn. I was like, there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I
there's
think
no
it's
desire
more-
or longing, you know?
Well, I
Yeah.
think like the problem with a lot of romances in books is the expectation with which you go in it. Because I went in without any expectations. Like I even forgot the summary or the synopsis. Like I even forgot what it was about. And I just went in like with like, okay, well, let's see if I'm gonna love it. And I thought it was a slow burn romance, but I can
Sure.
imagine that if you go in thinking that it's a slow burn romance, that you're like, well, nothing really happens, like you said.
Yeah.
But
I
I felt the
definitely-
same, for example, with Red, White, and Royal Blue. A lot of people said it was hate to love, but to me, because I
Yeah.
expected that, it didn't.
And it was
really
like within
feel like
2
that.
chapters, they were like super in love.
Yeah, exactly. But I can imagine that also changes your perspective for this one.
Oh, I totally think that whatever the hype behind the book totally changes your perspective, which is why we're
Yeah.
here in the
This is why-
Overhyped Book Club.
Yeah,
Exactly.
How does the hype change your perspective on the book?
Yeah.
I think for me, especially like I kind of like didn't know what to expect going in. But I liked like because I was like so into like Elizabeth's character, like I just loved her and like how fierce she is and the world and everything to do with the books. I kind of liked, and like this is not something that I will typically say, but I kind of almost liked the romance at the level that it was because I felt like we really got to focus on like Elizabeth and Silas and Nathaniel as like individual people, and then kind of even towards the end, and they were like, "I love you," but like before that, you know, like it wasn't the main point of the novel, and I thought that was a very interesting departure, also from Enchantment of Ravens, where the romance takes like front seat. But I just felt like it was perfectly sprinkled in to like make sense between the two characters, but it didn't take away from all of the other aspects of the world building and like what's going on with these libraries and all that.
Yeah, I know. I think that has a really good point for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
But I agree. I would say that I don't know if it's really like slow burn so much as like I think it's like a normally paced romance. Like it's not super fast. It's not super slow.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like smoldering. It's just like kind of like it just like develops between them like naturally. It's very natural.
Yeah, definitely.
And not overwhelming. Yeah.
I think for me, this is like total kind of like a side tangent, but it relates. For me, if like I'm not really vibing with the plot, then my like subconsciously I rely on the romance.
Yeah.
So like, does that make sense? So like with the Shatter Me novels, I'm like the plot's kind of like really.
The
but like I love
what is the plot?
There is none. But I really like Juliet and Warner, so I'm like I can keep reading these, right? But with this, it's like
angst.
I wasn't
as dystopian.
Yeah. And like I don't think the plot was bad. I just personally didn't like vibe with it. And so for that reason, then I think I subconsciously relied more on the romance, which wasn't happening till the end. So I think that's probably why I feel that way. Not to say that's right or wrong.
Fair.
That's just I think my thought process on that.
I definitely do that too with books. I'm like, okay, like I'm bored. Where's the kissing?
Yeah,
Sure.
like,
where is it?
Okay, so that led into plot then.
Yeah. So what I think Margaret Rogerson does really well is make a fast-paced plot for like a lot of the action sequences were really like she only tells you what you really need to know. For example, with the hospital part, it was really short, but it didn't need to be much longer.
Yeah,
in my opinion. But it was
I was
really
so
like,
glad
okay,
she
so
didn't
this
get
happened.
stuck there.
I do.
Yeah,
I do think her writing.
Because I was like, when we got to the hospital and she met that girl, and I was like, oh god, no, we're gonna stay here. Yeah, and then she like within one chapter she was gone again, and I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you.
Yeah,
I definitely think she can be very like succinct, and I think it suits her as a writer of standalone books.
Yeah.
She doesn't get super dragged down in a lot of like subplots and details because you have to wrap everything up in one book.
Yeah, and then also sometimes there are time jumps of like when she was researching stuff, I think.
Yeah.
And then suddenly there's a sudden time jump, and for me that really helps me stay in the book, for like otherwise I can get distracted and stuff, and I don't know, then I'm not really feeling it. But here, because stuff keeps happening and she only mentions the more important stuff, that really helps me to keep in the, like, to stay in the plot.
Yeah, for sure. Even when she was like living on the streets, like homeless, like we heard nothing of that other than like, here she is, suddenly she's sick, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah. But
You know, if
I
it was
think
Throne of
that's
Glass,
also...
sorry, if it was Throne of Glass, it would be like 300 pages of her living
Oh
on
my
the
god.
street.
It would be so novel. Like it sounds
Yeah.
scandalous.
Exactly. But that's
I'd be
what
like
that is,
queen of the
series.
streets.
Yeah.
But I think that's really needed for a standalone.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you definitely need to have the passage of time, but it's hard when you only have one book to do it.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Yeah.
I noticed this when I was like, okay, I don't know if you guys saw my tweets, but like I had a really cool dream the other night, and then I like started writing it, but I was like not trying to fluff it up. Like I was just trying to like get everything out there so that like, you know, I didn't need like a huge backstory to anything. I just wanted to like spew it out and like have it like epic.
That's what
My
you gotta
boyfriend
do.
drank all of my soda. Rude.
That's where the cake is done.
Sorry.
Or at least the timer went off.
I know, I was like, your cake's ready.
Yeah. Okay, I guess we could talk about the ending now then.
Yeah.
The ending.
Like I like stopped reading details because I was just like kind of over it. And I hate to say that because I don't want to say that this is a bad book, because I genuinely don't think it is. Just I wasn't feeling it. And so like I know how it all wrapped up and everything, but I was like, parts where there weren't a bunch of dialogue, I was kind of just like skimming over it. Because I was just like,
that. Me and Shannon.
Well, I really get that, because especially nearing the end, I kind of had the same too. I wasn't really skimming because I just cannot do that. But no, I really get what you mean, because some of the parts in the end were, I don't know, were a bit slow.
Yeah.
It was very like every battle you've seen before, you know? Like
I like this part. I think my favorite part of the final battle scene was when the books were sacrificing themselves, because she like has this connection with the library, and they were like these like evil spell books, but yet they still had a heart, and they were sacrificing themselves for the greater good. And I was like,
I did love that. And I was like, it's so sad. Can you imagine like there being one of a kind of a book, and it's just gone now?
I know.
Like that's a sad thought.
Like one copy of Akatar and it's like flying. You're like, no,
gone. You're running.
Not you.
I definitely think she wrote this book as like a love letter to libraries.
Oh, that's so
and
cute.
to books in general, I think.
For sure.
Also, there was one line, I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was something of like that books have a heart and a soul, and that they can be broken.
I totally tabbed that. Let's see.
Yeah, look it up, because I thought that was so beautiful.
Was it when she was talking about how they were being like locked away for years?
I have so many tabs. I don't know like where to get to.
But I can just
something about that they could be broken. I'm not sure.
Aww. But like inside the author's head is probably so like magical and cute and like just like innocent. Like I'm gonna treat all my books so lovely. Like I'll never dog ear them.
You guys have read Strange the Dreamer, right?
Yes.
No, not
Ilja
yet.
read it? No.
You see
I was wondering.
She DNF'd it.
You DNF'd Strange the Dreamer? Oh my god.
Well,
wait, who DNF'd it? Ilja?
Yeah, but like I am willing to pick it up again, but I just wasn't in the mood
my gosh,
for it.
T. No, I literally waited in line. Okay, I've never read it, but like I was on the Illumicrate website.
Oh yeah.
For like 2.5 hours because their website was glitching, and I really wanted the
exclusive one.
Yeah,
with the sprayed edges.
Because I don't have any of the copies, so I was like, freak, if I'm gonna buy a copy, I might as well just go all out and like yeah. But I was wondering, the reason I asked that is because I was wondering, it was one of my pet peeves in this book, but I feel like it leveled out towards the end. But in the beginning, like half of the book, everything was so flowery. Like the descriptions, and like I
Oh,
kind of thought it
if you
was
don't like
overdone. But no, here's the thing. Wait, I was wondering.
if you don't like
I-
flowery writing, Straight
I
to the
do. Wait,
Dreamer
I
may
have
not
to.
be for you.
Wait, I have to read. I know, that's why I was concerned. Wait, I have to read what I wrote this in my Goodreads review because I feel like I said I wasn't a big fan of the writing style. It seemed overly descriptive, too flowery. It didn't come off as pretty or imaginative or creating a magical layout. Instead, it came off as a bit jarring, trying too hard, and mostly distracting. So like I do like flowery writing to a certain extent, but I feel like I found myself just like concentrating on some of the words she was using rather than like the picture she was trying to
Yeah.
create.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does that make
really?
sense? But then I feel like towards middle of the way, it totally leveled out. And maybe that's just me being literally a psycho. I don't know.
love flowery writing unless it's like, like so over the top, like 18th century, like love poet writing. But like, you know what I mean? But like
I
for the
gotta
most
say-
part, like I love flowery writing, and I love the writing in this actually. So
I gotta say,
yeah.
I didn't really notice it. And usually I'm not a big fan of flowery writing because I'm a non-native speaker, it's usually pretty hard for me to like completely understand what they're saying.
Okay.
But with this one,
Sure.
I didn't really notice it, to be honest.
It's just me.
I
I,
have a
understand.
question.
It's just me.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
like-
When you read something that's like flowery in your native language, do you tend to like it? Like, do you like?
I don't read in my own language.
Yeah.
Well, I don't read
Okay.
novels in my own language, so
Okay.
I couldn't really say. But I think I would like it,
Hmm.
but I couldn't say for sure.
Okay, that's fair.
No, I'm kind of with Kendra on this. Although I'll say when I read the first Caraval novel and it's very like it goes
Oh, it's so
out of its
colorful.
way.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, to like be like super flourishy and like
Yes.
flowery,
Ooh,
but in
I'll
like a
probably like
magical
it
way.
then. Yeah.
I liked it in that
Kitty, you
sense.
have to read Carnival.
Yeah.
I know you guys are pulling me into reading it too.
Yeah.
As if you haven't read it yet. You've read everything.
Yeah.
Well, there has to be some books left for me to read.
True.
True. That's important.
But it had that sort of like same magical sense that like Sorcery of Thorns have. But I feel like it did add to the atmosphere. It was like so needed with the book, but it wasn't like entirely for me. But it's just a nice, easy, like go with the flow kind of book.
Yeah. I think that's why like maybe I thought it leveled out, but maybe it actually was the same. I just got used to it. So like it could be that too, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just felt like it was a bit jarring at the beginning.
Yeah,
I was like
especially
trying
in
to
the
like
library.
yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, there's like glittering dust in the
Yeah.
air, and I was like, what is all this? Yeah. But I can appreciate that because like I love writing and it's really hard. Like it's not just like
Yeah.
a talent everyone has. So for somebody to come up with all that, I can 100% appreciate it. Maybe it's just not like my preferred style, which is fine, you know.
I found the quote that Ilja was talking about. It says, books too had hearts, though they were not the same as people's, and a book's heart could be broken. She had seen it happen before. Grimoires that refused to open, their voices gone silent, or whose ink faded and bled across the pages like tears.
Yes,
Aww.
I thought that was so beautiful.
Yeah, I have
also
that
so
tab.
sad.
Aww.
Yeah, I also have this other one that I have tab that I really like. It says, a true child of the library. Ink and parchment flowed through her veins. The magic of the great libraries lived in her very bones. They were a part of her, and she a part of them.
I liked that a lot.
It's
Yeah.
cute.
I liked that a lot. Yeah.
What did
And I
you
love
guys
her
think of
connection.
what did you guys think of the part that she was like that she gained some magic
She
from
was
the library
inhaling
because
book
she
dust, and it made
Yeah.
her magic.
that she was book lice.
I honestly didn't fully understand it. I found like it was because it wasn't like a power that I've like read before that I was like, okay, it's just like a really strong connection to the library. But like you guys could probably help me out a lot better on this than I could.
No, well, I do agree with you that like it wasn't fully explained. Also, like they
Mhm.
said, she was stronger than most people, or like she could handle more stuff physically as
Like
well.
resilient to magic, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then, but I was like, okay, but why then exactly?
Maybe it makes sense because, like, okay, this is me like theorizing, but so everything in this world like runs on like demonic energy, and like, you know, humans bind themselves to demons to like be able to use their energy for spells. And these books have all this energy, and if you're just like around it in the formative time of your life, you just like soak it in, and it changes you.
I could see that. I
So
could
you're
fuck
like,
that. Oh.
so it's like, oh no, I cursed on my booktube channel.
Yeah, we're live. This is what I've never prepared myself for.
Oh no, people know that I curse.
Yeah, not like this. Okay, I have our final banner here, and is it worth the hype?
Well,
I'm gonna say
it is.
yes.
I think that it's one you should read, just because if you're so curious about it and you see it everywhere all over the internet, because it is a beautiful cover, as the like author does such beautiful covers, you should read it. You know, you're gonna be curious about it, and if the fact that it's a standalone, like, cool, it's not gonna take up much of your time. Do I say it should be hyped this level? No, but I think it, like, I'd recommend it.
Uh-oh, Kendra.
No,
Giving a
I was
look.
waiting for you guys.
No, you were
No,
just like
no.
giving a look like,
No. I think it's kind of a hard question. It's kind of hard to answer. I think you should read it, and I would recommend it because, like, my whole idea with why I feel the certain way about the book, I think it's like has a lot more to do with like my thoughts rather than like actual facts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
same.
it just didn't hit home for me personally. But I don't think it was a bad book. Did I see some flaws in it? Oh, for sure. But like I don't think it was a bad book or story. So I do think you should read it. I think it's like some of the things are worth the hype. Like Silas was great. I loved the book aspect of it all. I really liked the world, and it was like dark and stormy and really like enigmatic and interesting. But like there were other things that I was just like bored of. So
Yeah.
yes, I do think it's worth the hype, but just I don't know, kind of is a roundabout way of saying
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
I do agree with you on that
so
part,
would you
but, like,
say is it a little bit overhyped?
Oh yeah, probably then. I guess I would say that. Just a little bit. Not like a ton, but yeah.
Yeah,
I
same.
understand. Well, I personally don't think it's overhyped, but I do agree with you. Like, I rate books on what I feel with the book,
Yeah.
not per se
I'm
on
not.
how good the book is,
Yeah,
but more of like how I feel when reading that
That's
book.
what I do
So
that too. Yeah.
My
so
personal
it wasn't a perfect book. It definitely had flaws, but I don't know. I just
Mhm.
felt so many emotions while reading it that I still think it is worth the hype.
Yeah, I like mostly read based on like emotional experience while reading, unless it's like, you know, something that's like horribly wrong with it, in which case it probably hindered my emotional
Yeah.
experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely say like I've gotten more critical with booktube, but I still like my final rating comes down to basically like what I felt about it. And
Yeah.
what was I gonna say? Like a 3-star rating for me would be like I probably didn't like the book that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
3-star for me is
So-
like, I didn't feel connected to it, but I could understand why it's a good book. And like that's
Yeah.
exactly how I feel.
Yeah,
about it.
it's like it's so interesting like
Exactly.
how everyone else's like rating systems are different, but
Yeah.
I feel like I'm also like driving the hype for this book. So
Yeah.
it's definitely
That's what
I'm
us
like literally
YouTubers have to do.
on Twitter all the time. Sorcery of Thorns.
Well,
So,
I
I
only
obviously
finished it this week, but
think it's
I'm
worth
with
the
you
hype.
now, Katie.
I know. Oh, someone's on my team.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
50-50
people are.
split.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh my God. I guess that means that's it for our live show. Does anyone have anything else to say before I end our broadcast?
Yeah, we have to talk about it next month.
Oh, right. Kate,
Yes.
super exciting. Our next month's book is Serpent and Dove. Does anyone know the author off by heart?
Shelby Mahurin.
Yeah, okay, it's her debut novel. I already got an arc of it and have read it and absolutely adore it. So I'm super excited for next month.
As you can see, I have my bookmark in here, so I'm currently reading it. I'm just like getting really ahead on my work, you know?
Yeah,
There you go.
studious. So we don't have a date set for that, but obviously stay tuned on our Twitter and we will absolutely tell you
Yeah.
when that will be.
I think our plan is mostly like the last Friday of the month, so but we're flexible.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, well, good night, everyone, especially Ilya.
Bye.
Good night.
Oh, and if
Yeah,
you're watching
Ilya.
this back later, leave a comment down below whether or not you think that Sorcery of Thorns is
yeah.
worth the hype.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.